Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be, and whatever time it may be. I greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite creator. And I continue to pray that each and every day, each and every one of you will learn to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, and the wisdom from the universe. I am your humble host, David Null, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers. Now, I just want to say hello to you all. And I ran a little long being on the Milky Way Soul Tribe channel tonight. I thank all of those who were there and participated. And it seems like the cards that were drawn were very appropriate for the type of discussion we were having, but also in that so many ways, each and every day, something new comes into our life. It may seem intangible at the time. In other words, it's so small or so minute that we don't see it happening to us. But as I approach my 68th birthday, not a plug, but oh my God, I've made it another year, 68 years. And I look back and all the way back into my childhood and into the 50s and black and white TV and where we have come and what the different generations that are already here have accepted as well. This is always how it's been. No, it ain't. And what we have accepted in our lives, not just technologically, but in other ways too, spiritually, and what we consider to be the known or the unknown or the mysterious or magical or whatever. And so there have been so many stories and so many twistings of the tale, if you will. And it's like, so as several folks have asked me to do, to talk more about shamanism and the spiritual side of things. And it's like, well, you have to talk about everyday stuff because that entails some of where your spirit lies. Because your everyday stuff is either taking or giving to you as a person, you as a spirit, you as a valuable entity in this universe. And it's important to know that each one of us, does have a value. And, the in religion, for example, there are many people who have accepted, certain religions and certain dogmas, and when they reach a certain point of spirituality, um, they realize that, oh my goodness, my some of my spirituality has been siphoned off due to the way they want me to think. There's so many different points of view, and they all want you to point in their direction because they're the important ones. And then there are folks over here like, well, you got to believe it like this. Well, why? Maybe I can accept both points of view, and I can accept the two of them. There's truth in this one over here, and there's truth in this one over here. So, hey, Robert, I put on this hat in between shows just to but I looked in the mirror and I thought, gee, I look like one of them cowboys, that we was talking about before you're being on Soul Tribe. Anyway, thank you for having me on. And greetings, Michelle, and anybody else that's out there. You don't have to jump in the chat to be a part of this. Just know that the fact that you're out there. Hey, Teresa, how are you? So in the title of things, that what we have come to accept. Now, in my lifetime, I went from a manual typewriter to electric typewriter. That was a biggie. To then, to computers. So I was in with the computers way back when computers first started. In fact, I remember the days of when a hard drive was a cassette tape player, and all of it was put on a cassette tape. And if what you needed was at the end of a 60 or 90 minute tape, you had to wait you couldn't fast forward. The computer needed, it was linked to this cassette tape. That's how the information was stored, was on magnetically on a tape. So, but anyway, so people say, well, you don't really understand technology. Yeah, well, I know where it came from and I know where it's at the moment. Do I understand it to the nth degree? No, but I see it and I've seen it evolve. But there are people that are 20 years old, and so that puts them back in 2000. Well, wait a minute now. So just 20 years ago now is the year 2000. So there's a whole new group of people that didn't know about smartphones, because we didn't have smartphones. We just had cell phones. And then we had texting. And then somehow we could take a picture. And then we could take a this. And then now it's easy for people to just jump in here and, let's talk on, here's a video thingy. And we're doing all this high tech stuff on a machine that is, this big. Where 20 years ago, that was still a little bit much for us to reach for. Oh, really? You can do that now? And back in the days of, I'm not sure when the Dick Tracy comic strip came out, but it came out a long time ago. And they had wrist communicators. Okay. We got that today. Now, it took us 100 years, well, not quite 100 years. It took us 80 years to get there, more or less. But here's the thing, we got there. So now, though, there are people who accept it. So we've accepted these things into our lives. And people, they're jogging, and it knows the last time that they went to the toilet and whether or not they wiped or used a bidet. They know what kind of calories, they know they're this, they know they're that. And Google knows where you are all the whole time and knows your vital signs. And people want to know whether or not they're being controlled, or whether or not they're part of the matrix, or whether or not, and I say to them who have these kind of gadgets, you chose it. You accepted it. Now, I ain't going to accept none of that stuff. I use the medium, and I thank you, YouTube and Bob. Let's have some coffee for Bob, everybody. I see y'all jumping on in here, and let me come in and Desert Rose. Hello, hello. Project Skyfalls all the time. Is B, how are you? Michelle, as always. Teresa, Candy Apple, good to see you. Thank you, thank you. And this might be a little bit of G Ant, hi Guy Ant, I love you all. Thank you so much. And Robert V, yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, Robert, for having me on. And blessings to everybody. Hi, everybody. Good to see you, Desert Rose. Haven't seen you around in a while. We always send prayers out to those we miss. And so anyway, glad you're still around. Ding, ding. All right. So, but let's consider this then, kind of sort of simply put. The things that I'm going to go on a little rant here as I do. But the things that we have accepted into our lives. So as a Catholic, many Catholics, I grew up with the old catechism. Now I see what they're teaching in the Catholic schools and what the mass has become, and I go, I don't know who you people are. But so over this interim, which was thousands of years old, and whether you could say their ceremonies are right or wrong, it's at least traditional. So, but now they changed everything up, and it was like, now I brought up this before, and I'm curious again, why Fatima is being brought up now. After all the years of movies and things, why is the movie Fatima being brought out now? Now, there are those of us, now I've had my contact with my entity that I know is Mother Mary. I've talked about that, and I won't go into that. And there are those folks who go, oh, you and Mother Mary, get out of that construct. Listen, I know who she is, and And to me, that's all is necessary. And she's always given me good information and blessings and prayers. And several years ago, when I was contacted yet again and kicked in the pants to start doing these videos, and I've had subsequent visits that say, listen, you know, we're serious about this, and you need to be serious about it too. So the fact that I can pull cards and we have topics of discussion, it's not the Catholic version of the Mother Mary energy. I consider it the mother energy. Some people call it goddess, some people call it this or that. It's the mother energy, and that's how it's represented. But to the point now, they're bringing in the story, which has been under scrutiny about Fatima, and it's gonna be curious as to how this comes out. Now, why does this mean? Why am I bringing Fatima up now in regards to this particular conversation? Because it's what we've come to accept, okay, as the truth. Well, in 1964, the original story of Fatima, and I'm trying to remember this priest. He wrote books and he was there when in 1999, I think somebody pushed him down the stairs and they killed him. And I am trying to remember, he's Irish priest that he wrote books, conspiracy about the Vatican and everything. And he had the permission of the Pope to do so. And it talks about some really nasty stuff that has gone on, and in some places still goes on in the in the Vatican and in the church, and with different sects and sects, sects, sects within the church itself. So, but when the message that was told, that the sister wrote down the message, okay, and it was not to be opened until 1964 or 1963, 1964. And so it wasn't. But then the Pope at the time, and I was around during then. I want to say it was Pope Pius. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But anyway, so they opened it up, read it, passed it to the members in the room, with which this one priest was a Vatican scribe and scholar. I can't remember his name. Maybe you all put Malachi Martin. Thank you so much, Project Skyfalls. Yes, Malachi Martin is the real freaking deal. If you've never heard of him, you need to go check him out and do some homework and listen to him. He will tell you things that you're going to go, what? And I've known these things for a long time. So that's part of the reason for this conversation. There are things that I learned 20 years ago. I was listening to Malachi Martin, and all right, help me out with the name. It was not the midnight, after midnight something. What was the name of the show that he was on all the time? After midnight. Anyway, he was on a radio program. Father Malachi Martin, absolutely. And the thing is that it's creepy, freaky, and all of the above when you consider this information. So there are people who've never heard of him, and thank you for helping me out there. But I think it was George Norrie on his show that interviewed him several times, and they're out on the internet. You can listen to them. There's no video. That was back in the day before, but there's definitely audio. And so, hi, Alex, Desert Isby, Christy. Did I get that right? Here, let me stop since there's a sort of a pause. Hi, everybody. Thank you. Hi, Alex. How are you? And Christy Schaefer. I don't think I've seen you in the chat before. Hi, greetings, blessings. Good to see everybody there. All right, so anyway, to continue on with this. So what I have learned to accept, and it's part of my history that I learned 20 plus years ago about some of these things. I've talked, many times about my drafting instructor at Tampa Catholic, Sister Helene, who told me things in 1970 about the Vatican and stuff. And it was like, oh my God. Oh, she's the one that told me, listen, Jesus was a Buddhist. And if the rest of the Catholic religion knew that, they'd freak them out. She convinced me not to become a priest, to study spiritualism. And guess what? Here I am at the age of almost 68, sort of preaching the word of spirituality, having nothing to do with, well, you should believe this way or that way or this way. Can we believe in one thing? It's the rule of one, the one rule: do no harm to anything, and when we can understand that and project it, it's not a religion. It's not necessarily a belief, but it is our spirit when you understand it and believe that simple fact. That's what makes us the soul tribe. That's what makes us members of the League of Like-Minded Beings. That is the reason we are drawn together on a cosmic level, because thought is so quick. I mean, I was telling Robert V, we get this idea that the speed of light and how fast that is, but think about the speed of thought and what we can do in an instant of thought, And by the way, since we've got 11 people in here, can we all take a moment now, 17 minutes into this, can we all take a minute from the previous show with Robert? Can we take a minute and do a minute's worth of meditation and send the love in some frog medicine, which is rain? Let's all go ribbit together as opposed to wean. So if we all go ribbit, ribbit, we send our prayers through frog medicine to come to the whole western coast needs rain. So let's send some energy out there. So I'll give you all a minute to collect here, but I look like Gene Autry's sidekick. I sort of got that thing, and I was just like, I used to be a character actor a lot. I mean, I've been in over 100 shows, and in some shows I played 2 or 3 different characters. But anyway, so I got hats and stuff, and I'm kind of feeling, a little frisky, like, come on, let's break this up a little bit, and not that I'm trying to be silly, but there is so much other stuff out there. If I can get you all to giggle a little bit and snicker and laugh, it's a whole lot better than crying and weeping and all that kind of crap. You know what I'm saying? So let's take a minute. And in 30 seconds, I'm going to say, so here's the focus. And I've learned a couple of things, and I'm going to light this cigarette, some because I want some, but also with the intent of taking the tobacco, which is a sacred herb, and I take it in, and with my intent, I breathe the sacred smoke out. So that actually made me cough in the way I did it. But anyway, so I'm taking the smoke only into my mouth. I don't inhale it. So my prayer is simple. Send frog medicine to California, which means all of the above, rain and help and things. Frog medicine to California. Simple prayer. So when I'm drawing in, I close my eyes and I'm just thinking frog medicine to California, and then I exhale it. Simple as that. So in doing this with your hand, you're motioning that you want it to be directed. And so with that prayer goes with the sacred smoke. One could say these cigarettes are not necessarily the best tobacco, but to my point, my intent with the tobacco is with the prayer, not just to sit here and smoke it. So, and besides, I'm Gene Autry's sidekick. Frog medicine to California. Now, it may take a while because in the fires, they've murdered a lot of the frogs and lizards and the undergrowth. So, it's going to take a lot of frog medicine. So we can keep it simple with our prayers versus, sitting down and meditating for an hour is not necessarily what you want to do with your time and your energy. A good, quick, solid prayer to the universe. It's a minute, 2, 3, 4 minutes. Boom. Send it out there like a tweet. Okay. And allow that tweet to be the seed and allow it to grow with all the other energies out there. So in the basics of shamanism, you have to understand these very basic rules. And you say, well, what do you mean the rules? Well, it's the universe. It's just the way it is. And when you try to buck the universe, you get you into all kinds of nastiness, boy, let me tell you. And you really don't want to go there. And some people who have been tinkering with the, with sigils and things and other stuff, it's just like, you may have gotten something attached to you. I know I messed with something in the dark many years ago, and I've often wondered, did I attach something to me because of that, because of certain incidents and things that happened to me? But anyway, so I speak from experience from this, and other people, well, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Oh, listen, I've tried some of this stuff. You don't want to go there. Please let me, listen to a little bit of wisdom. You really don't want to go there and then find out later on, I shouldn't have went there. Too late, So, but the things that we have accepted, so spiritually, there have been a lot, we've been inundated with all these different kind of philosophies and things. But when you look at all of it, at the big picture, and the shaman basics are very simple in that you can have all these points of view, but what connects you to the universe? So we realize all of these things and all of these truths, and the Vatican's bad, and these people are bad, and they've been controlling us. Does it really matter to me now that I look past this and I go, I've just accepted it as sort of like commonplace in my life? Well, I knew about, oh, crap. Short-term memory loss. I forgot about the priest we just talked about. Anyway, it'll come back to me. But to the point, though, I realized that, hey, let's talk about this. In the sense that knowing that these folks have been pulling the strings for a long time is important to understand. How much we understand of it. Thank you again, Project Skyfalls, Malachi Martin. Oh, bless you. I mean it. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm just having a medicated moment, if you will, or a non-medicated moment, if you will. But anyway, but the things that Malachi Martin and other folks, I mean, for example, there's a lot of stuff. I was reading Dolores Cannon before she was popular. Then she got popular. It was sort of a cult under the surface. And there were people who believed in Dolores Cannon that I got to know. And I was like, you believe in that kind of stuff too? Well, yeah. And then I started talking about when I learned about Edgar Cayce back in the late 60s and early 70s, in my experiences that so closely relate to what Edgar discussed in his teachings, writings, and where he went, and what he did. I've used some of his the simple techniques of peanut oil for joints and things. And there's so many things out there that are so simple that can help correct the body and help the spirit as well. And it's like, but how many people are actually talking about Edgar these days? And Edgar had a lot of information and a lot about the soul journey and how we become, whether we accept or receive the mission that we come on as spirit beings before we become babies. And we've got the opportunity to go, well, I changed my mind. I read the fine print. And sometimes I say there are times when I regret taking this mission. But now at this age, which I never expected to reach, I'm sitting here and understanding that, even an old hippie swamp billy down in, on the edge of the swamp, and there's water back there now due to the rain, which we really needed, that we can all make a difference. It's whether or not we choose to, and whether or not we listen to our hearts and our spirit. Because if I'd ignored all them folks, I'd think, I wouldn't know you people. I wouldn't know you at all had I not just started doing videos. And that's not to say that I'm some wonderful, that's not my point. My point is, had I not acted, then I would not know any of you. And to me, that would be a great loss in my own life. And as well as there, I talked to Robert V after we shut down. I think Brian was like my number 7th subscriber way back in the day. So I'm thinking to myself, if one, and the message that I was given way back when was, if one person, if I can affect one person's spirituality, then my journey here has been fulfilled. And I realize now that it's so much more than that. And it's you all and your participation amongst yourselves, that this has become more than that. It's not just one person, it's a group of people, the League of Like-Minded Beings, that have become this group now of, we can affect a change. Even if it's minimal, we can see that we can do these things when we shed the trappings of our lives. Now I want to go back to the Fatima thing, because I skipped over it trying to remember Father Malachi Martin. So way back in the day when there was a priest who was sort of in charge of the nun, I can't remember her name at the moment, and Project Skyfalls, you might know. But anyway, she went into a nun, sequestered, blah, blah, blah. And there are conflicting stories within the Catholic Church, mind you, that they wouldn't let her out. That basically, nah, you spoke to Mary and you're the last one of the 3. Nah, you ain't going nowhere. So, and then there's the side, well, she was affected and so forth, and she devoted her life. One could say maybe not. Anyway, it was suggested when she got sick one time that she write down the secrets that she was holding. And so she did so with the instructions that they would not be read until 1963 or 4. It's right in there. Anyway, so when it came time to open it, Father Malachi Martin was there. And so it got passed around the room. And they all looked at it and went, oh, holy crap. And the Pope said, I'm not dealing with this right now. Seal it up, and it's to be sealed for another 10 or 15 or 20 years. Let somebody, when I'm dead, let somebody else deal with this, which is exactly what happened. So then later on, it got reopened. Well, the people that opened it the second time around Pope Paul or Pope John or whatever, anyway, that they opened it and went, holy shit. And said, well, because there were a lot of people in the Catholic religion that were going, it's time to open it. What does it say? And so now that this is coming down the pike, now they're bringing the movie out about Fatima. It's going to be really interesting what story they decide to tell. Okay. Now, is it about Mother Mary? Is it about the girl? Is it about the spiritualism? Is it about the event? We all have to understand that it was pouring down rain and then these people became dry. The whole crowd, and there's a bunch of folks there that last time. So we have to understand there was definitely an event. Was it Mother Mary? Was it the church? I think it was the goddess. I absolutely, through my own, I feel that she was approached and said, look, here's a message. And people tried to turn the message of motherhood and of, protecting children and to be an important thing. So, but religion has twisted it. And that was the fear. So now, and so what Malachi Martin remembered back when he was there when they opened it the first time, it's not what they read when they opened it the second time. So he's like, that's not what it said. It was a very simple statements, but no, that's not what it said. And so Malachi Martin said, nah, what they did when they opened it the second time, he said that them guys didn't want to deal with it either. Now, basically, the third one was that the bear had to come to the understanding. And the bear was Russia. Okay, it very clearly. And so Putin has brought, a normalcy back to the to Russia itself, to the motherland, not the USSR and not all these other things, although there are states that want to join back in. So it's like America. So, well, they're on the, if parts of Mexico wanted to actually become part of the United States and, if they wanted to secede from Mexico and become who knows, or maybe a part of Canada, who knows? But to the idea, though, that an adjacent state or something, but what's this got to do with shamanism? Everything, because it's our point of view. So what have we picked up and accepted for granted? And we look back and go, well, wait a minute. So in my lifetime, I can say, well, this has changed. My understanding of the laws of nature has changed because I've opened up, I've dropped science for a little bit and just allowed nature to tell me some things. Let nature show me versus listening or reading a book that somebody else's interpretation of. So let me look at their stuff, but then let me experience life to see what I understand it to be. So in the life of a shaman, you experience things. And yes, you see all of these other things because you find out that, wait a minute, I may be accepting things as true. Now, in that respect, as a spiritual person, when you get to a person that that, for example, that we're all connected in the universe. It's a simple fact, but there are some people that struggle with a very simple fact. We're all connected in the universe. Well, I don't know how, and I don't believe that shit, and blah, blah, blah. And what's that got to do with God? Nothing. What's it got to hang on, just slow down here. So people get too involved, like one of the other cards that I read earlier on the other channel. Sometimes we get too involved that we don't really actually see what the meaning is, So, and sometimes there's so much religion, there's so much faith. It's like, but what does it boil down? What does the whole Bible amount to in the end? And in Revelations, I've talked about this before, but get an addition, and the angel comes to John, and John bows down, and the angel says, "Get up, you are as I am, as we all are." So the rest of the Bible to me doesn't really matter. because the angel's trying to tell John, listen, I'm nothing special. We are all angels. We are all part of this universe. And regardless of what's written in this book, but anybody who dares to change it, guess what the Catholics did? They rewrote the book. So, who's creating the heresy here? It says in the book, don't change it, and they did. Oh, they made it easier to read. The old Catholic Bible is what I remembered as a kid. I used to read it in front of church during Mass on Sundays. I would read the Episcopal of John or Paul or this person, that person, and read it to and sometimes I'd do 2 or 3 Masses on a Sunday because somebody wouldn't show up or whatever. But anyway, so I've been sort of preaching the gospel for a long time, but I realized I was like, wait a minute, there's more here than just meets the eye. Well, but the priest always had his agenda and what they wanted them to get out of it versus, well, wait, I heard something different, but I'm not the priest here, which is one of the reasons why I was led to want to become a priesthood. And I realized, thank you, Sister Helene, I owe you one. But the things we were talking about cell phones and versus dial phones. Now, I grew up with a dial phone. If you wanted 9, it was all the way down here at the bottom, and you had a brr, brr, and if you had a 996 number or 913, it was like, and every time anyway. But nowadays, people, they just push a button and it dials whoever they want, right? So they don't even think about the number. They don't think about what they're doing. They have accepted that this is the new way that it is, having no regard for how we got here. And the fact that in the old days, you actually had to, like the old cowboy westerns, had to grab that little knob and twirl it because it created there was a little energy pack in there that sent the wire down to ring the operator. So they would connect you. So it's like we accept so many things, and I mean, in the last 25 years, email has become a standard. Well, I emailed you, I texted you, and it's like, well, what if the email doesn't get through? And Brian and I had issues with emails back and forth. It's like spirits didn't want us to talk about certain things. There's a couple of shows that they just got cut off. I got shut off. Anyway, this is not about me, but it is about the message. So the message is we need to look back on ourselves and see what we have just accepted as the truth. Now, for example, for me, I've just accepted that UFOs are real. There's good guys, bad guys. So I don't need convincing of that anymore. I've had my own experiences. Other people have. They've seen videos. So it's your choice. I understand also that, having been on the river for those 3 days, that, if you allow the spirit to take care of you, that you can survive some of the most harshest of conditions. And does that make me special? I don't know. I don't consider it. I consider to be very, lucky and fortunate, and I'm very humbled to be here with you all right now. And so, but how do you convey something like that to someone who'd never experienced even being outside, whether it's a swamp or not, but just out in the, out somewhere, in the wild, well, I've always wanted to go camping, but, well, we went as kids. Well, go as an adult. Well, I don't know. Where's the bathroom? What's the convenience? I got a friend of mine who'd been begging to go camping. He goes, well, when I want to go to the toilet, I want to go to my toilet. And I'm like, but you're camping. No, but I mean, I understand. I'll go for the day, but I'm coming home. And I'm like, but, we can go to a place where there are toilets. Yes, but it's not my toilet. You rent the house, but never mind. So it ain't really yours, but I get it. Your surroundings. But so people won't do something for the dumbest of reasons, in my humble opinion. And he's not, I know several people who have given me that same excuse for not staying overnight and camping. And I'm going, yeah, but there's a latrine over there and it's got seat and everything, or there's, if we go camping, well, I always try to go where there's an outhouse, because I'm old and bending down and trying to do that don't work for me. But the idea, though, that you're not going to go because it's not your toilet, it's not your surroundings, and well, I'll go and stay all night, and then I'll drive home half drunk, and but I won't stay a few hours in case I have to go take a poo. And I'm like, wow, gee whiz. So we have to. Well, how much do we just accept? So people like that accept that they can't do certain things because they're not in their own surroundings, and it keeps them from doing what they really need to do and ought to do. And maybe they'll come out of their comfort zone enough. Well, but I would really like to, but I really like my own toilet, and it's like, and I'm serious. I'm not making this up. I swear to Jesus. I'm not even mention no names, but I know 3 people who feel like that, and won't go out and do whatever. And it's like, okay, all right. We're not going to go there. I'm not going to make fun of you. But, and there are other people for the same type of reason. Well, I'm out of my comfort zone. But listen, when I get done with the pan, when I'm camping, I'll take a little bit of dirt and rub inside it and scour it out if something sticks. And they go, you're doing what? And I'm like, yeah, there's sand here on the beach by the river. And I take a little bit of sand and I reach it around and scrub out the pan and then rinse it out. And they go, you're using dirt? Well, yeah, you use abrasives that are attached to things that are like sandpaper, sand, but it's dirt. Yeah, but I just washed it out. And then I put the pan over the fire to sear any germs. Well, what are you talking about? Oh my God, but you didn't put it in water and wash it. No, I used sand and, and mud and washed it out and rinsed it and put it sanitized. Oh, I got to get a pan and get what? See, I knew somebody like this. I got to get a pan and we got to heat the water and we got to do the thing. And I'm like, you're not getting this, are you? It's clean. Now, to that point, a friend of mine, I don't know, his birthday is 2 days before mine. And we were born on the same year kind of thing, just 2 days apart. Him before me. He's on the 22nd and I'm on the 24th. And I know a friend of ours that was born on the 23rd. So we used to have a big birthday bash once a year, the 3 of us, because they were boom, boom, boom. Anyway, so happy birthday to them early. And anybody else in September. And I'm barely a Libra, but I claim that versus a Virgo. Anyway, but so what we was up to his place, and he doesn't have running water. And he doesn't have electricity. So, but he goes down to the creek and he has a well and he's got running water nearby, just not at his house, right? There's no plumbing in his house. So, which is sort of a contradiction. I was like, come on now, you're almost cheating. I know, but I still tote my water from the well okay, I got it. Even though the well, it was drilled and it's a 220 and a pump, but, when he got done eating breakfast, he took his plate, his bowl, he had some oatmeal, and put it down and let his dogs lick it. And so my partner, wife at the time, looked at it and she was like, oh, you let your dogs, and he goes, yeah. So when the dogs got done, he took the bowl and put it up on the shelf. And she said, and he looked at me, and I've known Dale for a long time. And he's done this for a while, I'm like, and he says, but the dogs just licked it. It's clean. And she said, what? And so she made me, and he looked at me and sat there on the thing and laughed. And I said, look, and we weren't married much longer after that, but she made me get water, a pan, and heat them. And she washed all his dishes on the shelves in his kitchen there. Because and she said, well, what about this cup? She goes, I don't know if the dogs licked it or not. She'd wash it. And I had to dry them. And I was just like, this is so ridiculous. This is his house, his rules. You want to go wash a plate, then you wash your plate before you, or don't eat, supply your own paper, whatever. So, but I was so used to Dale being that way, it just didn't bother me. And but there, so for the next 2 or 3 hours, instead of me getting to visit and go hiking, I'm cleaning his dishes that he didn't want cleaned with a crazy person that I was married to that insisted, and I was going to have to live with her, at least for a short time later. But so I went through this and was like, this is so stupid. Now, what do I do that with Duggar? No, I rinse my bowl out, but to the point, I don't have, heated water and all this kind of stuff. No, I got this and I rinse it out well and put it up and it's, but to some people it's like, but you didn't use hot steaming water. Okay, but it's clean. Do you see anything on it? Well, no, or it could be something microscopic on that. Yeah, I'm not probably going to put something that's really steaming hot in it that'll probably sear or kill. And I mean, here's the thing. What people convinced me of 10 years ago, I've had to leave behind because it ain't about how hot the water is. It isn't about this or that. It isn't about this or this and that and that. There are times when I think to myself, oh my God, if I would have believed all of the horror stories about, well, your water isn't hot enough and you're this and that and that. And you know what? Wait a minute. There are sometimes I don't turn the hot water heater on for a couple of days because the water stays warm in there. And all I require is warm water, especially now as hot as it is for a shower or bathing or whatever. And I'm also having issues with I'm pumping too much clay again. I've got to fix that. But the weather's changing, so that's on my agenda soon. But anyway, but the idea, though, that, we have to let some things go. We've accepted how things have become a part of our life when maybe we should stop and go, I wonder if this is really necessary. It's like for me and the computer, I have a cell phone, but it hasn't been plugged in 5 or 6 years. And I don't intend to get one. Although these little tablets with all this cool stuff, it's like a mini computer, I got to say, maybe a tablet. But I'm, anyway, not so much the cell phone. But to the point, though, when the lights go out down here, I got no way of communicating, especially when the phones went out. So that's been really interesting. But I didn't die. Nothing really tragic happened. Even during the hurricane, still made it through, when Michael came through 2 years ago. So we survived everything. So is there the fear and the chaos of, well, if you don't have this and if you don't do it like that. And so, but there are many folks who have just accepted how things are. For example, the folks who weren't around in 63 or 4 and who weren't around to hear about Father Malachi Martin and learn about his books or hear him speak and so forth, they don't have that information. So whatever these folks bring out about Fatima could be whatever they decide to fabricate. So do we forget about what may have actually happened, or do we just accept what they present us down? So when it was on the other channel, for example, one thing that's bugging the crap out of me, and whether I'm for Trump or Biden or whoever, I'm not for Biden. Let's just leave it at that. No way that those two people do I want to be ruling this country. No way, shape, or form, bottom line, for all of the above. So, but the idea, whether or not you like Trump, they came up with this thing that he said something disparaging about the armed forces. Now, there were 10 or 12 or 15, members of the, the staff, the generals and whatever, saying, no, he wouldn't say anything like that. But anonymous sources say. So they're creating this thing because of anonymous sources, and they're creating this thing. Why is this relevant? Because it's whether or not we want to accept their narrative. See? So, but in becoming a shaman, the spiritual part of you looks at it and goes, wait a minute. He said something disparaging. Let's look at the facts. If he did, they're comparing his disparaging words to an anonymous source and the Watergate and Nixon. Now, disparaging words, if it were true, does not compare to the Watergate lies and stuff that went on there. Totally different. So they're trying to sway the narrative. Now, if you went back and you were to compare it yourself, not use their comparison, but they brought it up, is this, if it were true, from an anonymous source that somebody knows? And you know me, I did a video about the Brutus speech and the Mark Antony, but Brutus is an honorable man. So what are they bringing up now? Well, this person is an honorable person and they have an anonymous source. So we should believe them. I can't believe that after I did this, they're like actually doing this in front of us. But this person's an honorable person. We should believe their anonymous source. Well, but if they're anonymous, are they true? Did they make it up? Well, they say that they're, but Brutus was an honorable man. Really? Isn't that coinky dinky league? Like, what? Just saying. So if we learn to it, well, that must be true, because they're an honorable person. And so we're trying to be honorable people and respectful and patriotic and blah, 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 blah. So you fall into that. Well, if I don't believe, well, if you don't believe them, then you think they're dishonorable. Well, maybe if they're trying to make me believe it, I wouldn't consider this. But they're forcing this narrative upon us all. So then now it does affect me. Now I need to speak about it because regardless of the anonymous source, the fact that they're relegating it to something like Watergate is insanity times 10 or maybe 100 even. So we have to look back and look at ourselves, look at the narrative, not necessarily who said it. They presented the facts. Now let's compare. Is it anywhere close? Nah. Whether I'm for Trump or not, doesn't matter. Let's look at the facts. So we can accept these things. Or like, well, enough people said it was true, so it must be true, right? Not necessarily. So in life and spirituality, there are people that are doing the same thing. I bring up this political side because it's trying to drain our energy. And what we need to do is keep an eye on this goddamn game that they're playing, because they are playing it on so many levels. And one of the interesting things I will bring up, since I brought up the Vatican earlier, is that the Pope is kind of a little on a lowdown in some of these things. And a few months back, there was sort of a change in power. There were people that were like kissing his ring, and then all of a sudden they weren't kissing his ring. He wouldn't allow them. He didn't have the ring at one point. And the Jesuits are not officially part of the Roman Catholic Church. The church disavowed them back in 17 something or a bunch of years ago. They said, get out. You're not. So the fact that there is a Jesuit Pope means there is a fly in the ointment. All right. So, but the fact that they cut him down and took away his ring and wouldn't allow people to like kiss it and all, and he was just like showing up, there's been some things going on. But if you can't see the subtleties in some of these things, then you can't understand that, oh, goodness gracious, there's a lot of things going on. So we have to shed these things that, well, he's a good guy through and through. Then why did the Cardinals make him stop doing that? Well, I don't know. It's like I was talking about Anthony Scalia, the Supreme Court, the head of the Supreme Court. And he died on the ranch, no autopsy. Well, we had a doctor come in and had a pillow on his face, and, we cremated the body and, and sent the remains back in a box. whoa, 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 that's it ended there. Are you serious? And we don't think there's somebody that ain't, doing something nefarious somewhere. Now, I don't have a clue. It could be the cabal, it could be these people, but there are people above them. Okay. Well, it was this guy and that guy. Man, he had a boss. Well, they went to the thing. Yeah, but those were just the people involved. Somebody instigated that hit, and it wasn't nobody in that circle of folk. It was somebody else on another level. Anyway, we have to shed these things that, these things don't exist. Spiritually, they're trying to steer us in directions where we, as a shaman in training, we need to go, wait a minute. I have accepted this as a truth. And I didn't even know, I didn't even realize it. Well, wait a minute. Now, how did I come to this realm of understanding? I mean, I don't go back and think through all the things and how I practice to astral project and stuff like that. It's just become a part of me through my lifetime. So as you practice these things, in astral projection and being more spiritual, in allowing nature to come into you, and allowing yourself to accept and receive from the universe. I mean, um, when you truly understand it 100.1%, then they even kind of bump it up a notch. There's surprises around every corner. So, to whatever state of mind and spiritual understanding I feel that I've reached, I still consider myself a novice. To other people, you have, Dave, Hawkeye, you've got all this wisdom, everything. Yeah, I'm 68 years old, and I've been an observer of human behavior all my life. So, in that, I'm sort of an anthropologist. But anyway, but with my observations of life, though, there are patterns and there are things. And also, it's allowed me to say, well, you know what? These people are following along like cattle or chattel or whatever you want to call. Do they even know? You say, well, are you woke up? Well, but there are people that, and I am kind of seeing this a little more now than before, that took the red pill, okay, but they didn't eat it. They didn't swallow the red pill. They took it. It's still in their hand. Okay. So they've taken the red pill and they sort of believe, but every once in a while they go swaying back to the other side. And it's like, so they're holding it. I guess they're waiting. I think they're going to allow the pill to absorb in their hand, and they're going to receive the energy through osmosis or something. Anyway, Maverick, hi, how are you? What do you say? Oh yeah, Christy, I agree with that statement. What century did you pick up that hat? Oh, this century, believe it or not. But there was an old cowboy who lived on the range. His horse and his gun were his only companions. Anybody? 10 points. Not that I got anything to give you. Who did that song? Good night. And rock-a-my sweet baby James. Sweet dreams and blues are the colors I choose. Won't you let me go down in my dreams and rock-a-my sweet baby James. James Taylor, just in case. But anyway, I'm an old cowboy. I've been, the weather's going to clear up and I'm going to finish some of this, my downstairs rearranging. But I want to every time I get out a guitar, I'm bumping into something. So I want to make it more easy for me to sit down and play. Where I used to play is now Duggar's little den over there. And so I gotta recreate a place for me to play music. Sad excuse, but partially true. More true than not, actually. But anyway, so, but I've been thinking about some old cowboy songs and stuff like that, and just doing sort of like a hootenanny one night, and just do some old cowboy songs or whatever comes up, and just for the hell of it, you know. But and anyway, because they used to do it before. A lot of us used to get together and play music, and I can't find my harmonica, so I'm going to have to maybe order online my some harmonicas. I used to be able to love to do the blues and that sort of thing, and you know, sort of like a Bob Dylan kind of thing. Messed up on them blues. So what we've learned to accept. So right now in my reality, I've learned to accept getting on here and being a little crazy with a hat from way back when, and being a little spontaneous, and you know, and in that spontaneity, you know, maybe get you to giggle or whatever, and you know, excite the universe, you know what I mean, without any particular purpose in mind, other than to just like, hey, let's feel good for a couple of minutes, let's be silly together, can we, you know, you know, but anyway, so there are so few opportunities sometimes where we can get to share the laughter. And I miss that with doing puppetry and doing live theater, because, you know, there was such good interaction with the audience. And there were times when some of the little kids would talk to the puppets and I'd talk right back to them, you know, and the kid would get off on it and the audience would get off on it. I'd get off on it. There were times when I would crack myself up, especially working with a little kid doing puppets. And so, you know, this winter, as I clean up these things down here and rearrange stuff downstairs, the sun's going to be in the house really good, heating up the house. And I really want to get a couple of puppets out and try my hand at doing some puppets with this new medium, um, just to see what they look like. But the reason I'm saying I'm waiting for the sunshine is natural light, regardless of the different kinds of light bulbs and stuff I use, there's color shifts. And the puppets look one color in person, and then you look at it on the screen and go, that ain't what they look like. Wait a minute. And it's the light bulb, it's the way it reflects. Sunlight, natural light is like, that's when things look natural. Anyway. Of course, this is about 10 years later, and camera technology and also the software has improved such that now you get more real color. Somebody was saying they were watching the video and there was green on my shirt, and I was like, it's not green, it's blue. But you know, so there's a color shift, and I use soft white yellow bulbs, the old type of bulb. You get that yellow color off of the light, so I'm not that stark white from the LED lights. I've realized that had a lot to do with my brain patterns and sleep issues and stuff. Had a lot to do with some of that by changing the light and how often you have that white light in you. But anyway, to stay on topic and to kind of sort of wrap this up in a way, is that the idea of spiritualism and shamanism, we have to look at what we've already accepted as part of our life. So if we understand that certain crystals help us with our meditation, then we've accepted that as to be a truth. And no matter who says what, you're not going to change your mind because it's something that you have learned. You've experienced it on your own. And so that's a faith, that's a realization, that's something that you get. And you can try to explain it to another person. Well, when I hold this crystal and and a thing, I can't say that you're right or wrong or yes or no, but you are experiencing it with the rock, and you're sharing your experience with me, or others. But to the point, though, would I necessarily feel the same thing that you do if I was to hold the stone? Would I have the same insight that you do? No, because we have been trained differently. So the things that at my age that I've already sort of rejected is like, well, I understand the Bible. I say, yeah, okay, but I'm not pulling the Bible out every time and reading scripture. But do I believe there's goodness in it? Yeah. But it's beyond that. And I think that's one of the things that Jesus was trying to say, as the new prophet that other people made him to be. He was trying to tell the Jewish people, look, you don't have to sacrifice goats every time you go. You don't have to do these other things, that it's the religion that's making you be Jewish. I've been to other lands. Spoke to other spirits. I've seen other things. And, this killing every time you have to make these sacrifices. What if it's a sacrifice of love? Not having to do with, killing an animal to appease the gods. That's barbaric and archaic. And he's trying to convince each other, so what they do? They made a blood sacrifice of him and made the religion all about oh my God. So they twisted what may have been the truth into their own narrative, no matter how you want to look at it, no matter what kind of Christian. So, but you have to at least accept this. Jesus didn't write them words. Neither did the apostles necessarily. They were interpreted later on. Now, there have been some Dead Sea Scrolls and stuff that are very intriguing, but the Vatican has some real stuff. And, the fact that there is a lot of information that Mother Mary and Joseph and they ended up in southern France, okay? So which kind of brings Fatima back up and around. It's like, well, why there? Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I'm not saying that they're trying to do anything wrong with putting this movie out about Fatima now, but I am kind of giving you a heads up that, what happened back in the day, and do your own research about this, but what they read in the 60s is not what they said in the 80s. And there are a lot of pissed off Catholic priests that left the church because of it. And you listen to the ex-priest talk about the lies and within the Catholic Church, and you go, should we listen to this guy then who claims he's the Pope? Just saying. So, but anyway, what we have accepted into our lives as being, well, I need this to be spiritual. Do you? Well, if I don't have my favorite crystal, I can't talk to the spirits. Maybe you can. We all need certain, the word crutch isn't really appropriate. We all need totems or things. But in the long run, what the shaman learns through his training is that, it's nice to have this when you're first learning, but that later on you realize you've already had that information. And whether it's like frog, well, do I have to go find a frog or do these things to invoke frog magic? No, I just have to believe that the frog magic and the idea of water and the cleansing and that, so do I believe that? Sure. And why not use frog? It's a wonderful representation. And whether or not the frog is actually doing it, that's not necessarily the issue here. It's the belief that using this simple creature, a natural creature, a frog, and all these attributes that go with the frog, whether you believe the spiritual part of it or not, they live around water and this and that, all that part is true. So you say, well, all right, I'm just going to think rain frogs for California. Maybe it'll rain frogs and literally be, wouldn't that be interesting? But if we continue to accept like the Christian religion, then the idea of thinking about a frog to help bring rain to California is sacrilegious, and we're going into black magic and we're going into other things. And it's like, wait a minute, is that really true? Because that's what the Catholic Church taught me. And then when I found out that these, quote, natural religions, if you will, of not just the Mesoamericans, North and South America, but, tribes in Africa and other places, they have these same similar beliefs. So I believe that's the core value of the earth. And when we feel it, all these other things that we have come to accept, we realize maybe all I had to do was just be here now. Accept the energy and everything right this minute, and tomorrow, the next day, or whatever. But when we accept it and believe it 100%, and there are people who are like, well, I want to manifest this. Okay. Well, to me, manifesting means you want to like just create something out of air. Now, if you want to say, well, look, I'm going to plan for the future. Well, doesn't that mean to manifest something? Well, I want a new car, or a newer vehicle or something. Okay. So you want to manifest this. Well, are you conjuring this? Or are you actually looking for a vehicle and you're keeping your eye out and you've told your spirit, okay, I'm going to see what comes up. So are you just alerting your consciousness of what you wish versus that you're going to, quote, manifest something, which implies you're going to take a bunch of molecules and build this thing with your hands. Okay. That's when people use the word manifest, I'm going like, okay. But manifest to me means that you take some clay and turn it into a walking, talking thing. But we all have our understanding of what it means to manifest something. But for those people who say, well, I'm godlike, I am a god or a goddess, and I can create anything. Well, then what would you create? Well, I would create, wait a minute. I would first, wait a minute. If I'm a god or a goddess and I can create, do I have the right to create anything? There are enough problems already. So what I think I would create would be a channel that I could talk to folks and say, hey, there's another point of view here. It's not about religion. But it is about faith and understanding. And you have to look at what you have accepted as true versus, if you're wearing one of them smartwatch things, you're a part of the matrix. Me, I turn the computer off and close the lid. I'm shut off. That's that. So, but do they track me? Do they know about where I live? I can log on sometimes to the computer and it'll tell me I'm 100 miles north of where my present location is. Let Google think about it. I never accept Google's, where are you? Never mind. I'm near Meigs, Georgia. Okay. So that's close enough to me. Not that I care. I'm in the phone book and so is my address. Not the issue. But Google wants to know every time. And I'm like, no, you should be able to find me by these other means. But when I accept that they can see where I am, I've just accepted their terms of agreement that most of us never read. So when you accept it, there you go. You become a part of it. So I say, nope, sorry about that. You can't know where I'm at. Nope, don't want the GPS on. Nope, don't want to know. Don't want to, what's your location? Don't want to tell you. And none of your business. Because our information becomes a part of the whole. And those folks are watching how we're reacting or not reacting. And as far as I'm concerned, my non-reaction to like being on Facebook or so forth, changing my own tone of voice and trying to speak in a positive way versus in the negative, I consider that what I have put out to the universe is better than bitching all the time. And that, wait a minute, other people have started, they've quit bitching quite as badly. And, they've stopped trolling one another up to a point. Now, recently things have escalated. So I'm thinking these people who claim that they have, spiritually awoke, they took the pill, yes, but they didn't swallow it. Because they're going back in and rebounding and reloading and replaying, and they're right back to where they were, however far back their little rewind thing works. So, as one of the cards that I pulled before, and I know somebody out there is going, pull a card. Okay, I will. I'm going to shuffle. But I've been at this one an hour and 14 minutes, and it was an hour and something hour and 20 minutes that I was with Robert V. And today's been a slow day because I mixed concrete, I mowed the yard, I did a bunch of stuff, and I'm sore. And really, personally, I didn't want to do this tonight. because I felt my spirits were low, and I was like, I can't give this 100%. So, but with that said, I'm here, but I do feel my energy getting a little, I'm getting low here. So to be effective, so I just shuffled the deck. All right. And just going to play through the cards here and see what comes up. Now, in reality, it shouldn't really matter that I shuffle the cards, except some of them will turn up upside down or right side up. So that part matters when I shuffle the cards. Wow, there's a lot of indecision in this, but this one has got my fingertips going. So let me put that down and flip it. It's upside down. It's the grouse. I went past it when I was going to look for the raven, I think, or the frog. It was the frog in the last card reading. And it's the grouse, number 34. That's interesting because I looked at it and went, grouse. I've never picked that card. There it is. I didn't tell you that from the previous video, but I'm telling you now. Okay, dokie. So grouse came to me when I was flipping through the book, and then it came as the card. See, for myself, this is what tells me that spirit is truly talking to me. In the simple fact that I came across grouse when I was thumbing through the book and went, wow. Sacred spiral, number 34, grouse. But when I saw it, I went, well, and I kept going to my target page, which was frog, and I just opened up the frog right there again. So frog medicine to California. Yeah, I sometimes wonder, this message was sort of, by seeing the page looking for frog, it was a precursor to the, I don't understand, but I do understand that when things like that happen enough of the times, you have to believe it. You have to accept it. But if if I was a Christian person in that respect, oh my God, the devil's talking to me. It's all this kind of bad stuff. And it ain't nothing like that at all. Number 34, grouse. Sacred spiral. Let me take a drink. Thank you, Bob, and to all of you present. Thank you for being with us tonight, Hawkeye. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you all for being here tonight. No clocks here or TV, says Desert Rose. Grouse of the sacred spirit, leading us on to reach the everlasting heights where we can live as one. Grouse once flocked in abundance throughout North America, but now, even in the plains where these birds were so plentiful, there is an absence of them. Many Plains Indian tribes dance the grouse dance to honor these birds. The movement of the dance follows a spiral, which is the ancient symbol of birth and rebirth, the rib tunnel of eternal return. The sacred spiral is also one of the oldest known symbols for personal power. When you think of grouse medicine, visualize a whirlpool or tornado, for the sacred spiral will take you to its center. The spiral is a metaphor for personal vision and enlightenment. I'm going to read that again. The spiral is a metaphor for personal wisdom and enlightenment. Many initiates on the vision quest paint spirals on their bodies and believe that the great mystery, which was brought up when I was reading Raven, believe that the great mystery will favor them with visions of power and purpose because of this symbol. Now, power, there are people who are like, "Ooh, if I get to do this, I'm going to become some kind of a powerful shaman or whatever." You're going to feel the power of the universe and understand the responsibilities of that. The whirling dervishes of, and I was just thinking about whirling dervishes before I read this paragraph, by the way. The whirling dervishes of certain Sufi orders are masters of the spiral dance and can transcend into higher states of awareness through the repetition of this sacred movement. It is said that the dervishes can travel to the center of the spiral and return with any magical power that they choose. In the dervish state, one enters the great silence and has direct communication with the Creator. By spinning clockwise or counterclockwise, the dervish draws or repulses specific energies. Sufi dancing is a system which connects one with a divine source through ritual treatment of motion. So get up and dance, y'all. Now, I'm going to interject my own thing here about the whirling dervish and the spiral dance. I too have experienced that. And when you think that you can't dance anymore, and it's not like you twirl in a circle, but it's a smaller circle, and that you understand it. Now, also for me, I was told that I was a heyoke many years ago before I even knew what it was. And I realized that there are sometimes you must go counterclockwise when other people are going clockwise. And you say, well, it's always a clockwise. No, it's not. Sometimes you must counter it depending on what it is. So I have danced in both directions, and I have watched the whirling dervishes and understand what that trance is like, because it's similar to the stomp dance of the folks down here in the South. And they literally will dance for hours on end. They will dance till the sun comes up. They hold each other up. And you say, listen, hey, Chloe, blessings. So the idea that you find when you experience these things, there is an energy beyond just, you say, well, that's not really true. Well, if you've ever been in a stomp dance, if you've ever really experienced what a whirling dervish, now some of them guys spin really fast, but in the Native American thing, if you watch certain dances, they'll circle. Well, sometimes they're imitating an eagle, or possibly, it could be a vulture, but they're imitating a bird, and they're circling, looking down upon the ground. So in that, it sort of lifts them up out of our reality to look back down. But it's also a spiral in that, if you watch they circle around their prey, okay, but they're buzzards, but still. Anyway, but having experienced it myself, there is absolutely something in that idea of dancing in a circle, in like the dervishes, or similar, So back to the text. If you have grouse medicine in your cards, undertake a meditation on the various qualities of movement within your world. Meditate on the various qualities of movements within your own world. How do you move through your house? Do you walk like sullenly? Do you walk with a little bit of spirit and panache, possibly? Not arrogantly, but begin by visualizing the sun as one member of a huge group of stars swirling in the massive pinwheel shape of the Milky Way. Milky Way, right here. Then draw yourself out of this pinwheel of light and into the spiraling of your own DNA double helix. Now, by the way, one of the things about this double helix, we're supposed to be triple helix. And some of the things that are supposed to happen to us with all these energies and everything, we'll see um, that it's supposed to initiate the regrowth of our triple helix the way we were before somebody tinkered with us. Just saying. But anyway, draw yourself out of this pinwheel of light into the spiraling of your own DNA's double/triple helix. If you imagine a triple helix instead of a double, because things come in magic threes, you know what I mean? Um, and an arrangement similar to a rope ladder coiled like a corkscrew. Analyze the way you move through the world. How do you picture yourself in the act of locomotion? What kind of reaction do you create with the energy you send into the universe? So, for example, I'm sore and I'm bent over, and, moccasins, yeah, I got moccasins too. But, if I'm bent over and stooped over, which I was today, I can't walk. Oh, I hurt. I realized I had to straighten up my act. Okay. Because I didn't want to project being humped over all day long, even though that's pretty much how I've been. Not a complaint, though. I got a lot done. So what kind of reaction do you create with the energy you send to the universe? So before reading this today, I was like, nah, I got to straighten up. I'm not going to walk hunched over. This is one of those things that I have accepted as my reality. If I walk hunched over all the time, if I think, well, I can't stand up, then that's what I project to the universe. And I would rather go ahead and stand up, ow, 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 crunch a few bones, and go, no, I'm going to walk as straight as I can, mind you. Because that's what I wish to be in the universe. And I got around a little easier. But I did a crap load of work for my condition and everything. In the final analysis, is your movement compatible with your greatest desires and goals? So when I was referring to manifesting things, manifesting things, well, I want to manifest this. Well, maybe you set a goal and you can achieve it. Well, is that manifesting it? Well, you're helping to create it, but did you, anyway. Many spiritual disciplines ask that you erase all external movement in order to recognize the inner life. Now, my subject was the things that we just accept, right? So this is saying we need to cease all external movement. So the things, does this apply? I guess it does. Grouse medicine, however, is an invitation to the dance. Grouse celebrates the divine source through its sacred spiral dance and offers this dance to you as a gift. You can spend a lifetime learning Grouse's lesson on how to harmonize your dance with Mother Earth's cycles and how to offer the dance as a creation of selfless beauty. Now we're coming up, I keep bringing up my birthday, but it's on the vernal equinox, autumnal equinox, sorry. Now, contrary, and I did pick this up upside down and looked at it. So drawing the grouse medicine card in the reverse position signals a dissipation of energy and lack of control and discipline. It is symbolic of a lost connection to the source. And signifies a lack of clear intent behind an outpouring of energy. So in other words, you're pouring energy in the wrong direction when you think your intent is true. You may feel like you are in a tailspin or going down the drain. Confront confusion either in yourself or in others who may be in the picture. Examine the way your energy may be causing friction, sparks, or a convolution of a situation that needs clarifying. In other words, there were times and I realized as much as I tried to clear up my point of view about the Mother Mary situation and me, Other people just refused. And the more I spoke about it, the more it got worse. And I realized they're not going to get this, Dave. You just, that they're not going to understand. And it's okay. I don't have to, I know what I understand, but if other people don't, well, you're still pulling that Catholic thing. No, I ain't. But anyway, work towards harnessing your energy and directing it towards clearly defined goals, such is the nature of the sacred grouse dance. Now, isn't that sort of like manifesting something like I was just talking about? You'd have thought that I read this before, huh? I didn't. In using the sacred dance as a tool to right contrary grouse, you may also find that it is a tool to center or ground you. In grounding, you are once again connecting to Mother Earth and balancing out the spinning in your head. Many of us are getting that spinny head feeling thing lately. If you have become so involved with an idea or problem that you are no longer seeing it clearly, lots of that's going on, you may feel dizzy or lacking in concentration. This is a sign that you have entered the thought universe and are not connected to physical reality. What? I'm going to read them sentences again. If you have become so involved with an idea or problem, such as the mask, the thing, okay, that you are no longer seeing it clearly, you may feel dizzy or lacking in concentration. This is a sign that you have entered the thought universe and are not connected to physical reality. You need grounding if this occurs. Dancing or walking will put you back in touch with Earth and your body. Grouse may then teach you how to notice the energy flows that you put you in harmony and balance with body, mind, and spirit. So I think grouse really need to be spoke tonight. It showed itself twice. But anyway, so the Nolo, what? I was called the girl with the golden fleece. Troy, huh? Even the Texas two-step, right, Christy? Anything, and because a lot of it is in your intent, and to some folks, it can just be a simple little patter. Find some music that will just get you up. I've got a couple of mixed CDs that I made years ago, and I'll just pop it in, and there's some Bob Wills in there. There's all kinds of different music, and there'll be something in there like I think it was Blondie. One way or another, I'm gonna find you. And and I find myself tapping my toe, and before you know it, I'm like, whether I'm dancing in the chair, it's got me. And it's a song stuck between a bunch of other nondescript music. But if I put that CD on, there's some Irish folks dancing there. There's some Russian balalaka music in there, and it's like in each one of them, each one of those types of music stimulates a particular chord, thread, energy, whatever. And somebody marked that card on the outside. I don't want to see that anymore. But anyway, Michelle says, I love that song. Yeah. There were some of the Blondie songs, and there was some crazy times back then. I'm going to pull one other card because somebody wants me to. Don't know who it is, but and for the lack of whatever, doing the little shuffle thing here, I'm going to pull one more, and then it'll be close to 2 hours. So I love hanging out with you guys, but I really need to get up and stretch, and I don't think I've had anything to eat recently, so there's food in the mix as well at some point. It's been raining almost constantly all day. All right, so let's see. Let me pull this one here. Anybody in here? Just separated the deck, and so it's like, anybody in this part of the deck? Um, no, but it feels like where I pulled it, there's 2 or 3 cards. Two cards. Okay. I'm going to pull the top one, then look at the bottom one. We'll see. Now, so the top one is horse. Now, we pulled horse before, and it actually is really close to the other ones. And the other one is otter. Now, I want to read about otter because me and otter go way back. So, okay, was only going to do one. All right. Brain power frequency, right, Desert Rose? I'm going to get you one way. Yep. Number 35, since horse was the first one, but I actually think otter was more of the liking, but horse has a good message too. And I was going by horse when I was doing the frog and the other one. So anyway, yes, this is riding the horse and going into the other. Yes. Horse, number 35, power. And in reading that other one, I said, it said that you gain the power. And then I stopped and said power, but manifest. Okay, here is the horse, power. Interesting, eh? Mighty horse, power to run across the open plains, or to bring the vision of the shields dancing in purple dream rain. Stealing horses is stealing power was a statement made frequently in historical Native American and a reference to the esteemed role which horse played in the Native cultures. They would steal horses, as a part of a rite of it's sort of like a bar mitzvah for the Native Americans. Horse is a physical power and an unearthly power. In shamanic practices throughout the world, horses enabled shamans to fly through the air and reach heaven. Humanity made a great leap forward when horse was domesticated, and a discovery akin to that of fire. Before horse, humans were earthbound, heavy laden, and slow creatures indeed. Once humans climbed on the horse's back, they were as free and fleet as the wind. They could carry burdens for great distances with ease. Through their special relationship with horse, humans altered their self-concept beyond measure. Horse was the first animal medicine of civilization. Humanity owes an incalculable debt to horse and to the new medicine it brought. It would be a long walk to see one's brother or sister if horse had not volunteered and welcomed the two-legged rider upon its back. Today we measure the capacity of engines with horsepower. A reminder of the days when horse was an honored and highly prized partner with humanity. Dreamwalker, a medicine man, was walking across the plains to visit the Arapaho Nation. He carried with him his pipe. The feather tied into his long black hair pointed to the ground, marking him as a man of peace. Over the rise of a hill, Dreamwalker saw a herd of wild mustangs running toward him. Black Stallion approached him and asked if he was seeking an answer on his journey. Black Stallion said, "I am from the void." We were talking about the void earlier on, the great mystery, where the answer lives. Ride on my back and know the power of entering the darkness. That's what Raven was talking about earlier. Entering the darkness and finding the light, because there is no light you can't find the light if there's no darkness. Dreamwalker thanked Black Stallion and agreed to visit him when his medicine was needed in the dream time. Yellow Stallion approached Dreamwalker next and offered to take him to the east, where elimination lives. Dreamwalker could share the answers he found to teach and illuminate others. Once again, Dreamwalker thanked Yellow Stallion and said he would use these gifts of power on his journey. Red Stallion approached, rearing playfully. He told Dreamwalker of the joys of balancing work and heavy medicine with the joyful experiences of play. He reminded Dreamwalker that he could better hold the attention of those he taught when humor was integrated with the lesson. I was trying to make y'all laugh earlier. Dreamwalker thanked him and promised to remember the gift of joy. Dreamwalker was nearing his destination. The Arapaho Nation was close at hand. White Stallion came to the front of the herd. Dreamwalker mounted White Stallion's back. White Stallion was the message carrier for all of the other horses and represented wisdom in power. Wisdom in power. This magnificent horse was the embodiment of the balanced medicine shield. No abuse of power will ever lead to wisdom. Think about that one, said the White Stallion. You, Dreamwalker, have made this journey to heal a brother in need, to share the sacred pipe, and to heal the Mother Earth. You have the knowledge through humility that you are an instrument of the Great Spirit. As I carry you upon my back, you carry the needs of the people on yours. In wisdom, you understand that power is not given lightly, but awarded to those who are willing to carry the responsibility in a balanced manner. So folks who are looking for power, they're not really balanced, in my humble opinion. Dreamwalker the shaman had been healed by the visit of the wild horses, and he knew that his purpose in coming to the Arapaho was to share these gifts with them. In understanding the power of the horse, you may see how to strive for a balanced medicine shield. True power is wisdom, found in remembering your total journey. Wisdom comes from remembering pathways you have walked in another person's moccasins. Compassion, caring, teaching, loving, and sharing your gifts, talents, and abilities are the gateways to that power. Now, the contrary of this, if your ego has gotten in the way, you may have failed to notice the lack of respect you have been receiving from others. You may, on the other hand, be struggling with others who are abusing their power. Should I say something? Should I fight my desire to put them in their place? You may be asking. Remember the times in your own life when you have fallen out of the grace with great spirit, and then have compassion for the brothers and sisters who are now doing the same. If you are overpowering another or feeling overwhelmed, horse medicine in both the dignified and contrary positions is a simple reminder of how to balance your shields. In allowing all pathways to have equally validated, to have equal validity, you will see the power and the glory of the unified family of humanity. Ain't we that family, the soul tribe? The family of humanity. This is the gift of the rainbow warrior or warrioress. So it's male and female. The I has no place in this whirling rainbow that comes from the great mystery. There's the great mystery again, and is replaced by the universal we. All colors of the rainbow and all pathways are honored as one. Apply this knowledge and reclaim the power you have given away by forgetting to come from compassion. Untangle yourself from the present situation and understand that every human being must follow this pathway to power before galloping upon the winds of destiny. Now, that last sentence says to me, those folks who think they're going right on to the fifth dimension, you got to ride your horse on your path of destiny, and you can't skip a grade. But so anyway, now there's something, and I was been wanting to say something, but not. And for those of you who were around during a conversation I had about the service thing to others business, I've noticed that there is a lack of something. And I don't really want to go into it but I've noticed that is like, wait a minute, did I say something wrong here? Now, years ago, I did a thing, and I still do, that sometimes somebody's got to be the grown up in the room and go, wait a minute. So I'm reading this here and thinking to myself, sometimes, regardless of public opinion, now we don't have to beat people up or call them names or anything, but that necessarily a time when somebody had to just say, hang on a minute, you know, just wait a minute, just think about this. And not just that, but other things. But I've just noticed that there's been a change, and I wanted to be more specific about it, but I don't think it's necessary. Um, and, you know, like calling names or something, no, 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 no. But I've noticed a change, and it's like sometimes with our own realization, we look at something and go, that doesn't sit with me. It doesn't really resonate with me. I don't know what it is about it, but it doesn't feel right to me. And many of you have agreed with me on this, and I was like, well, thank you. And I'm not trying to bring this up but my point is, though, that sometimes each one of us, and we got to do it politely with compassion, because that keeps coming up. But with the horses, that to keep the balance, maybe we need to say, like, for example, the mask thing. You say, well, I'm complying because I need to go into the grocery store. But as far as complying with, you know, and I heard Lionel Nation, a YouTube channel, he did a thing. He goes, if I see one more person driving in their car with a mask on and gloves, he said, I think I'm going to hit something, or, you know, I'm going to scream. And I was like, because he lives in New York City. And I was thinking to myself, yeah, then the people that were in the store yesterday, they were like, we're so tired of this stuff, you know. So, you know, but anyway, but somebody at some point, and I don't mean that I'm the grown up in the room by any stretch, but sometimes in our own little rooms, in our own little, you know, corners of our lives or whatever, sometimes we have to go, this just isn't right. And it doesn't mean I'm going to go out there and protest and stuff, but I'm going to tell folks, you know, I don't think this is right. You know, I think this is a bunch of hooey. I'll put my mask on, and don't go into a bunch of it, but just show other people, you know, wait a minute. I will comply up to a point, but I ain't driving down the street with a mask on. I'm not wearing, you know, I'm not going to the full body armor. I'm not going to do this, you know, where other people they're already doing it still. So anyway, but we have to do it with compassion. That's the big key thing, compassion. Now, otter. Now, when I was doing ceremonies down on the river, and I'm going to give you the very short version of this, I did ceremony all night long, and I had the canoe was on the river at the time back then. Even though there wasn't a lot of water, there was more water than we have right now. And I realized I was being trained by a shaman, and I spent the night before all night long in prayer with the spirits of the land. And owl came in, big barred owl, sat on a tree, just scared the crap out of me. And when I got done with it, I came back to the house and I said, you know, I said, listen, I said, you know, I did this thing and down by the river. And he said, yes, but he said, did you include the river? And I went, no, I didn't. I didn't include the river. Oh, I was by it and I was praying with it, and it was sort of, but I didn't pray to the river. So the next night, to complete the ceremony, it was actually a 3-day event. I went down to the river and did ceremony on the river to tie it to the land from the night before, kind of thing, to carry on that. Well, as the light, I mean, it wasn't the sun, it was just dawn was breaking. So it's blue everywhere. There's a mist hanging above the river. And I don't know, I'm about 6 or 7 foot down from the bank, sitting on the edge of the water. And the canoe is sitting out in front of me. And off to my right, the river is flowing from my right to left. And I've got sitting in the canoe a candle, and I've got my drum and my thing and whatever, and I'm sitting there. So I end my prayers for the thing, asking, that the earth and the water be joined in my prayer. I blow out the candle, and I hear this splash, and I turn to my right. I could have reached out my arm and touched this otter on the head. It popped up out of the water, smiled at me, and went back under. And I like to crap myself in the sand down there. So otter to me is very sacred. Came up and said, "It's okay." Whew. Just saying, they are incredible creatures. Ladies, this is for you. Number 8, otter, woman medicine. This one's for you. Otter, so playful, coquettes by the stream, the medicine of woman, the realized dream. The medicine held by otter is a set of lessons in female energy. This applies to both men and women. All of us have female sides. The otter's hide is very soft, used to make medicine bags for powerful women because it represents balanced female energy. Now, we just had the horse that's talking about balance, okay? Otter is very caring of its young and will play for hours performing all types of acrobatics. It lives on land but always has its home near water. The elements of earth and water are the female elements. At home in both of these elements, otter is the personification of femininity, long, sleek, and graceful. Otter is the true coquette of the animal world. Otter is always on the move and is very curious. Unlike other animals, otter will not start a fight unless it is attacked first. This joyful little creature is adventuresome and assumes that all other creatures are friendly until proven otherwise. These character traits are the beauty of a balanced female side, the side of ourselves that creates a space for others to enter our lives without preconception or suspicions. Otter teaches us that balanced female energy is not jealous or catty. It is sisterhood, content to enjoy and share the good fortune of others. It's not catty. That's exactly what it says in here. So all you ladies out there, yeah, hey Deborah, how are you? Glad to see you back. I saw your comment. Otter teaches us, I'm going to go back over this part and catch up. Otter teaches us that balanced female energy is not jealous or catty. It is sisterhood, content to enjoy and share the good fortune of others. Anchored in the understanding that all accomplishments are worthwhile for the whole tribe. Otter people express joy for others. Long ago in tribal law, if a woman were widowed, her sister would offer her own husband to the widow as a lover to keep her from drying up and not using her creative urges. This is otter medicine too. Envy, or the fear of being replaced, has no space in otter's balanced understanding of sharing goodness. Woman energy without games or control is a beautiful experience. It is the freeness of love without jealousy. It is the joy of loving other people's children and their accomplishments as much as you love your own. It may be time to examine your feelings about sharing the bounty of your life with others. Otter may be saying that the finer qualities of women need to be striven for in both men and women so that the unity of spirit can be achieved. This would involve the destruction of jealousy and all of the acts of anger which stem from that fear. Oh my God, jealousy. Oh, it would mean keeping I swear to God, this is what it says. It would mean keeping a hawkeye on your ego, I swear, and maintaining total trust. It would mean a world full of people coming together to honor the right for each person to simply be. If you have drawn this symbol, Otter may be telling you to become the playful child and to simply allow things to unfold in your life. It may be time to stop your addiction to worrying. Repeat this one. It may be time to stop your addiction to worrying. We're all worried about what's going to happen tomorrow. What are they going to make us do? Worry, worry, worry. Well, let's keep an eye on it. Otter also teaches the importance of not hanging on to material things that would bind you or become a burden. Things that we have accepted in our lives as part of this beginning conversation, things that we've just become part of our lives we don't realize. But, later on, you might realize that it's actually baggage. So, interesting that this brings it up too. In looking at how you can learn from Otter's habits, you might look at the joyousness of the receptive side of your nature. Have you given yourself a gift recently? Have you received any messages in your meditations? Become Otter and move gently into the river of life. Flow with the waters of the universe. Here's the water thing again, right? With frog. This is the way of balanced female receptive energy. Honor it. In doing so, you will discover the power of woman. Now, the contrary of this, if the Otter card appears reversed, you may be running from one idea to another without focus. You may be running from one idea to another without focus. They're trying all the chaos with this and that, and look over here, anonymous, right? This could also imply that you have forgotten how to receive and are blocking a gift from the universe. Man, I'm always, accept and receive. So maybe, Otter is telling whoever out there that you may be blocking the energy from the universe with your male side. So women, maybe maybe you're being too much. Don't know how that works, but if this is the case, you may be embarrassed to receive compliments, to have someone hug you, or to allow your genuine personality to come out. Fear of being rejected is the contrary message of Otter. Many of you, you have issues in this area. We all do, with fear of being rejected. I mean, in doing these videos, one of the things, Mary whooped me in my tail and said, you can't worry about that. They're going to be people. She warned me when I was 11. They're going to be people who are going to say there that you're blaspheming, and somebody actually did it. I did a video on it, and they called me a blasphemer and a heretic. And I was like, well, that part of the vision has come true, that prophecy, for myself anyway. Fear of being rejected is the contrary message of Otter. Drop the seriousness on all levels and play at life so that the fear rolls off your back. Realize that the only flow is the flow of the love from the Great Spirit to you, from you to others, and from others back to you. Share the love in the cosmic hugs, right, my friends? So, there are times when, I would not have stopped and chosen otter, as a card or as a subject or whatever. But in carrying over what Robert V and I discussed on the Soul Tribe and carrying this conversation into this, these cards have all related this evening into, a simple single, yeah, my hair is a little, not combed, but I'm tired of wearing the silly hat. Yeah, rainbow might seduce you right off the road. I don't remember anything about the actual driving through the rainbow. Hi, Deborah. Christy, rainbow is where God is, they say. I don't have no fear of being rejected. I gave up Davy. Me too. I would date if there were men in my area that did not think I needed to do all the dishes. Well, if you were here earlier on Truth and Me, you just let the dog lick the pan. That'll take care of that. And if they don't understand where your head's at with that, well, then maybe, they're not the right person for you. Chrissy, I was following Talking to Spirit. There was no work truck sign, just dude in orange vest. Like a siren song. Yep. Okay. Otter medicine. Yeah. So, but, they all speak of the power. And when I read Raven on the other, on the Soul Tribe side, Raven, it brings you the power. And people talk about the power. And I feel that I have a great power. And that power is just understanding. And you go, well, what good does that do? Well, when you understand, and, there are the good types of things like, I don't have to think about, how to meditate anymore. I got it. So where other people have to go through a ritual to achieve certain things, which there's nothing wrong with doing that. But after a while, you just kind of like go there. And one day you go, well, wait a minute, how did I get here? I mean, I did. I realized, like, wait a minute. Just like, for example, as an old person, I look back and go, I used to be able to jump, not real high, but I could jump. And I went to jump for something that was, a leaf hanging down or something. And I realized when did I forget how to jump? I mean, a simple little doink, just that high, couldn't jump. And I was like, wait a minute, I got to practice this. And I'm sitting here thinking, wait a minute, when was the last time I jumped or anything? I don't know. But, it's like you're earthbound. But wait, when did I forget how to use my muscles and do that? Somewhere along the line, it just became, well, you don't jump anymore. Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I dance and do this, but I hadn't jumped consciously. Well, wait a minute. Well, the fact that I was in a wheelchair and couldn't even walk, the fact that jumping was like, well, I'm going to figure this out. And I ain't done yet. You know what I mean? So I'm doing my little exercises today because of the rain outside so much. And I'm trying to loosen up my back and everything. I'm like, I'm going to be 68 next week, right? 68. Holy crap. Well, wait a minute. I'm getting around better than some people, not as old as me. And listen, just before I started this show with my friend Robert V on the other channel, I'm asking you at this 2 hours and 3 minutes into this video, a friend of mine that I talk about often, I talk about my friend Marcia and this and that. She fell today at the art center and broke her arm. She's a large woman, but the thing is, they think that they're going to have to operate on her arm to put a pin in it, and she just wants a cast. Now, I'm asking you all, I had just thought about this, but I can tell that she's in pain. And the pain of going in, both Marcia and I have been in the hospitals. We've had our necks operated on, my neck, her neck, my neck, but anyway. And she's like, I really don't want to go in, right? She doesn't like to be put under. I can understand that. And I've had my leg pinned together in football. I know what that feels like. Okay. And so she would rather not, but she's almost, we may be the same age, or she's six. She just turned 67 and I'll be turning 68. So we're the same age for a couple of months. But in that, please send out, her name is Marcia Herod. I don't think she'd mind me saying her name. But that she, that it's going to have a cast, but whether or not it has to be pinned together to be put back together, let's pray that it's just a cast. That's what, and I mean, she called like 2 minutes before Robert V and I went on the air on the other channel. So in trying to remember back and things, let's sound a healing prayer that, that she'll only need a cast. So she'll know tomorrow. She's going to talk to the doctor, going to have the x-rays done. So, but to my dear friend, we have been friends for over 30 years. I mean, for as long as I've lived on this property, her and I have been friends. So, but anyway, it's actually before I bought this property. So closer to 40 years we've been friends at least. So what he made to my dear friend, and to all the other things that are happening to people and folks dying and getting cancer and this and that and the other. Here, my dear friend, and I was like thinking about her the other day, going, as old as we're getting, God knows, and she's fallen before with having issues. So she fell. I don't think it had anything to do with the art center, but she was there doing a class, and she fell. Sometimes she has vertigo issues. I used to have those too, but with all the medicines and things she's on, it's real easy to get dizzy and disoriented, and she broke her arm this time. So Lord have mercy. Getting old is a pain in the ass, and yes, my butt hurts. I've got the butt scoot boogie. Thank you, my friends, for hanging out with me, and I hope that this has been enlightening to you, and thank you for sending a prayer out for my friend. She's pretty good at healing, but if she can avoid the hospital at her age and her, plus she's got a lot of other issues. She doesn't really need to go under. So if they can put her together enough to heal, but at the same point, it's like, well, doggone it, here goes somebody else that I know that's getting hurt and beat up and stuff. So anyway, so Deborah Truex, thank you. Was it near her wrist? I'm not sure. She didn't say. And I don't know which bone it was, kind of thing. I'll find that out tomorrow. But I don't know if she knew I was going to do a live stream or not, but she was like, well, I just want to tell you. And then she got off the phone real quick, and I was, we were getting ready to go live within the next minute. So I didn't ask many questions, but I will get with her tomorrow and find out what's going on. So, but to that point, no, I'm not sure. You're visualizing the bones healing. Well, they got to set them first, so before you go into healing. But yeah, I got. Good to hear a man can be a friend with a woman. There is hope. I've had more women friends over the years than I've had men friends, in a way. Not to be like, but there are those that I've never been that man. Now get this. I can go down in the swamp where the alligators and the moccasins go. But I'm not the manly guy that's going to sit around and drink beer and pop the thing and call women hoes. And, now back in the day, we called, we said, my old lady, but back in the day, my old lady was sort of like, it was like, if you said my wife, that was almost like cursing her. But if you said, me and my old lady went down to the, fishing the other day, you understood that was, and I can't think of the word at the moment. Oh man, I'm trying to remember 2 or 3 things and I can't remember any of them. I'm tired and I've had a long day and evening, but it's been very productive. So my friends, listen, if you ever think that we're not making a difference, you showing up and interacting with each other, it should be proof. And so the more we do things and like pulling these cards and then, having the conversation and the cards being pulled and going, yep, they're right about that. We need more of this. And um, so with men who refuse to have that feminine side, it's not like you got to give up being a man, but you got to show a little bit of compassion and quit being such a bastard. Now, I know some ladies who are not necessarily gay or dykes or anything, mind that, but that they are very much redneck women and will hurt you in a heartbeat. They'd just as much rather smack you upside the head with a beer bottle than is to look at you if you crossed them wrong. So, some of them women need to be a little bit more womanly in that respect as well. And I don't mean that it's not like they try to, well, actually, some of them do try to be a man. And maybe secretly they want to be a man. And maybe secretly they have a female, who knows? But to the point, some of these folks, it's like they put on too much of the other side. And it's like, we don't have to be wimpy men, and women don't have to, kowtow to men. But shouldn't we be able to do a balance? Now, I'm going to give this example and I'm going to wrap this up. I saw my mom and pops, and they were together for years. And the thing that they had an unwritten rule: pops gets to go golfing at least once a week, and ma gets to go hang out with the girls, whatever they're going to do, at least once a week. It's their separate times. Now, they would bowl together, they would do this together, but pops went golfing. And he'd invite us boys to go if we wanted to, but that it was his time away from Ma. It was his time away from the house. It was his time. And if he wanted to stop after 18 holes or whatever and have a beer in the clubhouse or whatever and chit chat with some of the guys, that was his time. But now also, neither one of them were necessarily looking to have any other kind of relationship. That was one thing. But they allowed themselves time apart, and they didn't bitch about it. She'd say, well, Arnie, how was your golf game? And whether he actually played 18 holes, come to find out on the slide, he actually only played 9 holes and had a few beers with the guys in the clubhouse. Doesn't matter. It was his time. They respected each other for it. They kept with it. And I think it's what made them sane. So if you think that for whatever mate you have, that you've got to follow this, that, no, you got to give the other person time to themselves, regardless of it. And you cannot be jealous about it. You can't go, well, you went out and did a such and such. Nah, can't do it. That's your time. This is my time. Respect it. Allow it. And there are many people, well, I don't know what you do with them. But there were times I was accused of things, and I'd make up stuff just so that so yeah, me and the guys, we did this and that. When actually, we were just sitting around smoking a joint and having a beer and watching the fire. Period. That was it. There wasn't no. Yeah, we talked about whatever stuff around fire, and some guys would talk about this and that, and other guys would talk politics. But the thing is just a bunch of guys sitting around the fire, farting and maybe telling a joke, having a beer and smoking a doobie. That's it. Oh, but you guys were doing this and you were out. No, we weren't. Well, how come you were out until 2 a.m? Because we were having a good time just with the fellowship of the fire. Oh, but you must have been doing. Oh, would you stop her, please? Jesus, criming that way. When there was actually nothing going on, we used to sit around and say, okay, what are we going to tell the wives this time? They're going to think we're doing this or that we went into town. We would make up stories and go, yeah, Phil did this and we did that. When actually we were just sitting around the fire drinking, we used to drink a lot of rum back in those days. But anyway, so the weird things we do to accommodate the other side, whether they actually believe us or not. And, when you start out when you distrust people, and then, one wife's over here and she's like, well, my husband, I caught him one time talking to this woman. And the other one, if I caught my husband doing that, I'd slap him upside the head. And, so now the women on the other side of the coin, while the guys are off, They're talking about what their husbands could be doing. And the husbands don't give a crap to what the wives may be doing. They might spend 5 minutes on, well, what do you think the old ladies doing? Well, they're going down here and what you call it was going to get a permanent and they were all going to have play some rummy or whatever. Okay, fine. And so, but we had to make up a story, even though all we were doing was sitting around the fire. So, don't know if the ladies were doing the same thing. And some of them were stepping out and there was some shenanigans going on. But the thing is it wasn't all the time and it wasn't everybody. But the fact that one person, one bad apple in the barrel would start something and there would be possibly part of it would be true. They would make it into well, he's trying to do with something and they're trying to do with something else over here. And now I can't trust them. And now the girls are at it. Now the guys are like, well, I don't know what's up. And such says, oh my God, Peyton Place all over again. The young and the restless, the bold and the beautiful, the dumb and the breastless, So, but anyway, so my friends, how we perceive things and where we allow ourselves in this world. Take a look at what you got. We were talking about motion, with Otter. So what's our motion like? Are we dancing? Or are we, stagnant? Are we carrying too much stuff forward we don't need to be? What have we accepted as part of our lives that maybe doesn't need to really be there? And for me, it's going back over and going, you know what? I forgot that I just know how to do this now. It's like if I was to go fishing, I wouldn't stop and think about how to put a hook on or how to reel it in. I've been fishing off and on for the last 50 some odd years. So I'm going to cast and I'm going to do this thing without even thinking about it. But if I stop and go, wait a minute, that's motion in there. I'm going to start cutting firewood soon, which means I'm going to start splitting firewood, which means I'm going to go back into doing something that I've been doing for a long time. And so it's like somebody said, well, why don't you get, a hydraulic press? And I'm like, do you know how hard it is to load and unload and move and this and that? By the time I do all that, plus spend the money for a log splitter, I've spent just as much energy, especially when me knowing what I know about splitting firewood, I don't need a log splitter. Besides, I exercise by splitting firewood. If I do it mechanically and all this other stuff, I become dependent on something that I not necessarily need. And, I'm going to be splitting wood until I crank out of this place. But anyway, hopefully it won't be too soon. But my friends, I love you. Thank you so much. Rum, first drink ever got drunk. Rum and Coke. Yep. Rum and the rum. Yeah, I got a, no, actually, that's not rum. It's gin. Oh, and for those of you that might take a little bit, Night Truth and me, that might take a little bit of a bibe and a little bit of alcohol. Let me tell you about a gin. All right. It's called Boodles. I know it's a crazy name. Boodles Gin. This stuff is like nothing I've ever had. Now, some people don't like the alcohol and it's gin. But the thing is I've had the cheap types, the Gilberts or the Glibbies or whatever, and other types. But I bought this bottle for a friend of mine years ago who's since passed. And because he loved his gin and tonic and gin just over ice, right? Or in ice. And he goes, well, the ice is going to melt, so I've got gin and water, and off he'd go. But anyway, I bought him a bottle of Boodles years ago. And there was a taste to it that I was like, oh my God, this ain't just like regular gin. You can buy it in little bottles. If you just want a different taste of something, man, just try a little. This is not sponsored by Boodles in any way, but just saying. Bring Coca-Cola to Healing Retreat Conference. Whiskey Crown Cola. I dance. Maybe we can dance around a fire if there's ring and water hose close by. Yep. Okay, my friends. Thank you. It's in the middle of the night almost again, 2 o'clock in the AM time, Eastern Daylight Time. Y'all be setting your clocks back, and mine's got the real time already. I love you all. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for believing in what you do. And I humbly ask that you continue your prayers and to accept and receive the healing, the knowledge, and the wisdom from the universe. And I continue to pray each and every day that each and every one of you will continue to find ways to accept and receive and to share the healing and the knowledge and the wisdom from the universe. And as that law of three always says, I continue to pray that each and every day, each and every one of you will continue with your friends, your relatives, all of your relations, past, present, and to come. Will learn to accept and receive the knowledge, the wisdom, and the healing from the universe, and that you will continue to share and reject this chaos that is around us now. The cards tell us some interesting things, and how they play out in your life, I hope it makes a difference. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your participation. And until next time, it is TTFN from South Georgia. We love you all. Cheers, my friend. Until next time, be safe.